Welcome to WT History. In this series, we list all the major events that happened in the world in a year, starting from 1776 to 2024. January 20th, 1783, a pivotal day at Versailles, as Great Britain signs preliminary peace treaties with France and Spain. Just a couple of weeks later, on February 3rd, Britain officially acknowledges the independence of the United States. The very next day, they declare an end to hostilities, finally bringing the Revolutionary War closer to a formal conclusion. Fast forward to February 7th, the Great Siege of Gibraltar, one of the longest and most dramatic sieges in history, is abandoned. This marks a significant turning point in the conflict between Britain and Spain. On February 26th, the United States Continental Army's Corps of Engineers is disbanded. Then, on March 15th, George Washington diffuses the Newburgh Conspiracy, preventing a potential uprising by urging officers to support Congress's authority. April 3rd marks another milestone. A peace and commercial treaty is signed between the United States and Sweden, one of the first diplomatic acts by the young nation. In May, the Society of the Cincinnati is formed, honoring American Revolutionary War veterans. Meanwhile, the first United Empire Loyalists fleeing the U.S. reach Partown in New Brunswick, Canada. Grants of land in Canada are announced to the Loyalists, while Loyalists from New York settle Great Abaco in the Bahamas. May 26th sees a great Jubilee Day in Connecticut, celebrating the end of the war. On September 3rd, a treaty between the United States and Great Britain is signed in Paris, formally ending the American Revolutionary War, and treaties are signed between Britain, France, and Spain at Versailles, ending hostilities with the Franco-Spanish alliance. On November 2nd, General George Washington delivered his farewell address to the Army in Rocky Hill, New Jersey, a heartfelt goodbye to his troops. The following day, the American Continental Army was officially disbanded by the Confederation Congress, with Thomas Mifflin elected as the new president, succeeding Elias Boudinot. Just a few weeks later, on November 25th, the last British troops departed New York City, allowing Washington to make a triumphant return. On December 4th, Washington gathered with his officers at Fraunces Tavern in New York City to formally bid them farewell. Finally, on December 23rd, in a profound act of leadership, Washington resigned his commission as Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Army in Annapolis, Maryland, and retired to his home at Mount Vernon. This gesture of relinquishing power affirmed the United States' dedication to civilian control of the military and earned Washington the admiration of King George III, who hailed him as the greatest character of the age. In other events around the world, the first of a sequence of 5 earthquakes strikes Calabria, Italy, in February and March, leaving 50,000 dead. On April 8th, the Crimean Khanate, which has existed since 1441 and is a late remnant of the Mongol Golden Horde, is annexed by the Russian Empire of Catherine the Great. April also saw the siege of Bednor, where Tipu Sultan of Mysore, with 100,000 troops, besieges 1,600 British East India Company troops who are obliged to surrender with honors of war. On first week of June, the Montgolfier brothers publicly demonstrate their hot air balloon at Annonay, France, but it would only be in November when Jean-François Pilat de Rosier and François Laurent, Marquis d'Arlandis, make the first untethered hot air balloon flight. The flight time was 25 minutes and maximum height reached was 900 meters. Another natural disaster occurred on June 8th when the volcano Laki in Iceland begins an 8-month eruption, starting the chain of natural disasters known as the Muðuhardindin, killing tens of thousands throughout Europe, including up to 33% of Iceland's population, and causing widespread famine. It has been described as one of the greatest environmental catastrophes in European history. The Treaty of Georgievsk is signed between Imperial Russia and the Kingdom of Kartli-Kakheti, making Georgia a protectorate of Russia on July 24th. On August 4th, Mount Asama, the most active volcano in Japan, begins a climactic eruption, killing roughly 1,400 people directly and exacerbating a famine, resulting in another 20,000 deaths. The British East India Company packet ship Antelope is wrecked off Oolong Island in the Palau Group in August, resulting in the first sustained European contact with those islands. They would build a new boat and leave the island on November with help from the natives. In another event in August, the 1783 Great Meteor passes on a 1,000-mile track across the North Sea, Great Britain, and France, prompting scientific discussion. On August 27th, Jacques Charles and Lefrère Robert launched the world's first hydrogen-filled balloon, Le Globe, in Paris, but the first manned flight would only take place on December 1st. Dickinson College is chartered in Carlisle, Pennsylvania on September 9th. October 3rd, the first Waterford crystal glassmaking business begins production in Waterford, Ireland. On October 17, Mozart's Great Mass is first performed in Salzburg, Austria. On November 24th, the Cedula of Population is signed in Spain, stating that anyone who will swear fealty to Spain and is of the Roman Catholic faith is welcome to populate Trinidad and Tobago. November 27th, English rector John Michell concludes that some stars might have enough gravity force to prevent light escaping from them, so he calls them dark stars, an early concept of black holes. On December 19th, William Pitt the Younger becomes Prime Minister of Great Britain. While on December 31st, Louis-Sébastien Lenormand makes the first ever recorded public demonstration of a parachute descent by jumping from the tower of the Montpellier Observatory in France using his rigid-framed model, which he intends as a form of fire escape. Finally, the Evan Williams Bourbon Distillery is founded in Bardstown, Kentucky in this year. If you enjoyed this trip through history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more historical deep dives. See you next time.